What's good with it, fellas? I got a little practical kind of video for you today. Something you could mess around with your training today, tomorrow, if you wanted to, depending on what time you're seeing this. Like I've talked about, we're going to do some nuanced video on the channel. We're going to do some not so nuanced. Give this a try. Maybe it's good, maybe you think it's shit, but it was worth a try because maybe if it is a hit, it's something you could add to your arsenal. I've talked many times on the channel about how one of the habits I feel made me a good presser was hammering my triceps after every pressing session. So historically, I have pressed 3 days a week. Currently, we're at 2, but most of my training career, we are either doing overhead, bench, both 3 days per week. And after each one, without fail, for the last 8 years, I have hammered my triceps. And I think that filling up that additional volume that is left to be desired after we finish our benching, our pecs can't handle anymore, we overhead press, our shoulders can't handle anymore, our triceps can handle a little bit more. Filling up that volume, busting ass, working hard, and hitting however many working sets are needed to kind of fill up that capacity, I feel has made me a much better bench presser. Having that surplus of development of my triceps past just what the specific training got me, I think has taken me a long way. I've mentioned many times, I don't think specifically what exercise it is that you do or what rep schemes you do matter all that much. It's more that you are freakishly consistent for a long time about doing them and working hard. I think the working hard needs to be included in the consistency as well. This is going to sound redundant because there's a video going up tomorrow of a little Q&A where I already said this, but I'm going to say it again here. There's like a picture, I think it's like a Buddhist monk where he stands every day. The wood has imprints of his feet because he stands in the exact same spot every day like clockwork. And we want to be like that with our triceps. If we want to be a freaky strong presser, we need to have this religious dedication to hitting our triceps. It's just part of week to week life. Just like the sun is going to rise in the morning, we crush triceps 2 to 3 days a week. And in doing this, I'm a big believer in gamifying your training. It's just a way to kind of keep it interesting, keep yourself motivated to work hard, not just kind of check the boxes and do a bunch of like RPE 6- sets of tricep press downs like I see a lot of people do. We want to kind of gamify it, keep ourselves busting ass. And you can use a lot of different schemes here. I've used lots of different schemes here. I've used 100 total reps in as little time as possible. I've done 100 total reps in as few sets as possible. I've done straight sets with a rep target system. I've done dynamic double progression. I've done top set target, back softs target. I've done time intervals. I've done drop sets. I've done rest pauses. I've done partials. I've done assisted reps. I've done mechanical drop sets. I've done tons of things to keep it fun, find new ways to work hard, find ways to push your limits and realize how much harder you could push, and not just how much harder you can push, but realize how you'd benefit from that. And it's kind of where including those past failure techniques comes in handy. And I rotate through all of these things and I have a great time with them all, just putting in work on press downs, rope press downs, single arm press downs, skull crushers, French presses, behind the head extensions, whatever the hell you want to call those, overhead rope extensions, single arm dumbbell overhead extensions, tons and tons of different tricep JM presses, all of these different exercises we can do, all of which are going to work well. We rotate them through with time, just trying to keep our triceps highly developed from a lot of different it's not that the variety matters, it's that the variety lends itself to staying invested, but just keeping our triceps kind of surplus developed. And I often come back to a very simple system that on paper, it doesn't make the most sense in the world. It doesn't make no sense. If we have kind of this idea is that, okay, well, if we assume our proximity to failure is about the same, anything from like 5 to 30 reps is going to be similarly hypertrophic. Maybe we want to try to progress our rep targets anywhere in that 5 to 30 range. Maybe we get some unique benefits up towards the 30 mark. Maybe we get some unique drivers of hypertrophy down in the 8 mark. Who knows? That's speculative. But we're trying to progress sets across this pretty broad rep range. And what I often find myself coming back to, I've jokingly referred to it as just the Goober Tricep routine because there's nothing magical about it. There's nothing all that smart, but I've done it many times because it lets me put in really hard sets. It makes it so I don't have to use an excessive amount of weight, which I try to avoid, to spare my elbow joints, makes my elbows well warmed up, and it just lets me bust ass and beat the books week after week. And that is doing the first set. Usually I would do this on a press down, although it can be applied to a bunch of other exercises with a lot of success. We might just vary our rep targets if we're using something else, but we're gonna use a tricep press down, an exercise that lends itself to higher reps pretty well. We can kind of pump out a higher rep set without it being this massive chore. We are going to go for anywhere from 20 to 30 reps. We're going to work pretty hard. We're not going to sandbag, and we're not going to try to save energy for the heavier sets. This is one of our working sets. I don't expect you to go all out on this one right away, but anywhere from 20 to 30. And each week you try to beat this first set. And once you get 30 reps, you add weight to the first set. The second set is going to be somewhere in the 10 to 20 range. Again, beating the books every single week. So let's say we get 30, we go, okay, add weight. Our first set was at 90 pounds. Next week, it's going to be at 100 pounds. Then our second set is at 120 pounds. Once we get to 20, that one progresses to the next week. And then depending on how your volume requirements, we could have a set targeting 15 reps and a set targeting 10 reps, or we could have a set targeting 12 reps, depending on whether we need 3 or 4 total working sets. And it builds up a tremendous capacity to have to do your heavy sets after these very difficult higher rep sets. I think it builds up a lot of work capacity in the triceps. You get this great pump. We get a lot of fluid moving to the joint. So by the time we're doing our heavy 10 on a press down, we're pre-fatigued, so we're not using quite as much weight. The elbows are well warmed up, and we just have these descending rep targets of 30, 20, 15, 10, or 30, 20, 12. Maybe if we're doing something like an overhead extension, depending on how you do it, it might not lend itself to pumping out reps the same way a press down might. So we might make our highest rep target 20, let's say 20, 15, 12, 8 if we want 4. And all of the 4 of these things are going to progress independently of one another. Yeah, there's going to be some variability week to week in terms of, okay, well, I went extra hard on the first set because I wanted to get my 30. And you're going to be a little tired. Maybe you come up short on your second one. That's fine. We're just putting in hard sets and we're trying to beat these numbers, trying to beat what we did last time on each of them. And you'll also find that your work capacity trains pretty quickly. So after a 2 to 3 minute rest, you're going to be able to output another pretty reasonable performance and beat the books again for your 20 and then your 12. Whereas at first you might be pretty gassed after a hard 25 or 30 for the first one. There's nothing magical about this. It's just a simple scheme of challenging a target anywhere in this range of our 6 to 30 hypothetical productive range. We're just trying to improve all different spots in this range. I like to order them in this order. You could switch it around, although I do recommend that if you haven't already tried something like this, giving it a go. Doing the sets in descending order rather than going lowest rep set to highest rep set as we've kind of been traditionally taught. I think this is worth a go. So that is the quick and easy Goober tricep routine. If you like it, let me know. That would make me smile. If you don't like it, don't let me know. I don't want to hear. Thank you for watching.